You're listening to the Unwritable Rant podcast with your host and bourbon-soaked storyteller, Juliette Miranda.
Hey there, y'all. It's Juliette Miranda, and welcome to episode 231 of the Unwritable Rant podcast. I am putting my usual bourbon-soaked storytelling on hold for this episode to do things a little bit differently. Today, I am sharing my conversation with Jon Anderson, the lead singer of Yes. But it's not just my conversation, no, and that's partly why this is a little bit different. You see, my guy and I have a show. It's a secret show, if you will. Only the cool kids know about it. It's on YouTube, it's on the David the Producer YouTube channel, and we call it the Virtual Happy Hour. Now, we started doing this show back at the beginning of the quarantine as a way to connect with some of our friends, and, well, it's turned into something kind of cool. Every so often, there's absolutely no schedule here, y'all, we invite some of our friends to hang out with us. And this week, we had Jon Anderson on. He's gotta be one of the most recognizable voices in progressive rock. Yes is a band that's been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's got tons of amazing singles, both with Yes and as a solo artist, and we wanted to talk to him about his career with Yes, as well as his new album. It's called 1,000 Hands, and it's a pretty spectacular achievement. But there's another reason why I wanted to share this interview with y'all. It's because we have a very, very special surprise guest at the end of the interview, and you've got to listen through to hear it because it's such a cool, fun moment, and I don't want to ruin it, so y'all are just going to have to listen to hear what happens. And if you want to hear more of the interviews that my guy and I do on the Virtual Happy Hour, you got to go to the David the Producer YouTube channel. It's a bit like a speakeasy. There's a secret knock, and then once you're in, you can find some seriously cool shit. I mean, we've got interviews in there with Bruce Kulick from Kiss. We've got Gina Bisconti from Compound Media on there. Eric Roberts came on to hang out with us. I mean, just cool, fun conversations, very casual, very laid back, and fun. And because we had so much fun talking with Jon Anderson from Yes, well, I wanted to share it here. So hope y'all enjoy. Cheers.
Thank you so much for joining us live here today, and we have a super treat for you.
I am so excited about this, y'all. This is going to be so much fun.
Yes, we have Rock and Roll Hall of Famer and Yes frontman Jon Anderson on the show today. So isn't that cool?
It's going to be so cool. I'm busting. This is going to be a blast.
Let's not waste any time. Let's bring him up. Hi, Jon. How you doing?
Hi, guys. Everybody, how are you doing yourself?
Doing well.
Fantastic.
Doing as best we can during this time. You know, we've talked to several artists during the pandemic, and the common thread is that they're finding new and creative ways to produce their work and connect with their fans. How has it affected you?
Well, it's a long story, but the day we were told to stay indoors and stay in quarantine, I was just about to barbecue, and I slipped on the step and broke my foot. So for two months, I was in a big sort of ski boot to keep my little foot together. And my wife, my blessed, gorgeous, lovely wife, Janie, had to learn to cook, clean up, tidy up. 2 months. And I was so happy on two levels because we live in the country away from the crazy village down the road. I was able to come in my studio on my crutches and work. In a musical sense, it's been a blessing for me because I had so many pieces of music, a backlog of ideas that I wanted to get finished, and I'm still working on them. So the past 4 months has been nothing but work, and happily within 2 months, I could start cooking again and washing up and things like that, which I love to do. It's extraordinary what's happening, as we all know. It's a very strange, interesting time, very sad time for all the people who have lost a loved one in this tragic time. I pray about them a lot. All those people out there, because you never lose your loved ones. They're always around you. I lost my mom and dad years and years ago, and I can see them now and again in meditation and stuff like that. But it is a strange time. But it reminds me of the 60s, because I was really in a band in the 60s, you know, and before you guys were born.
Well, one of us.
Are you talking about the Warriors?
No, but there was a lot of marching and against the war in Vietnam all over the world. It was real. Come on, you know, and we'd already gone through the death of Martin Luther King, and that whole thing opened, but then it sort of died down again. And then, thank the way things are supposed to go, now we're going through another evolution. And I think it's a very positive thing, even though it's very, very hard. And I just ever grateful for the first responders, you know, the nurses and the doctors and the firemen, the police, all these people that rush into the craziness of it all and help and save lives and things like that.
Well, I think change is never easy, but I think especially music right now is essential. It's a great way to bring everybody together.
True. I agree. In the 60s, it was the Beatles, the Beach Boys, Zappa, you know, Jimi Hendrix, and incredible time to be a musician. I feel very fortunate and grateful that I do what I do. That's for sure.
Yeah, and we also saw on your Facebook page that you're kind of finding new ways to connect with your fans, and you have an event that's going to happen on August 2nd. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And then we'll just go right into the album.
I was actually up at 3:00 this morning trying to figure something out about how we're all connecting. I have this band, I call them 1,000 Hands Band. And they're all from Orlando area, and they're very sweet and wonderful and great musicians. And they're all from different parts of the world. It's kind of amazing. We have a violin player, she's from Taiwan, and a keyboard player plays trombone as well. He's Joe. He's from Thailand. Percussionist from Trinidad, and a bass player from Ireland.
Wow!
Joke, sorry, but they're all in their little places in Orlando. And we've been connecting with each other using Zoom to sort of rehearse what we're doing. We're going to do some songs from the new album next week.
Well, so how is it all coming together? This must be incredibly different especially the kind of music that you perform, to be doing it almost in a piecemeal sort of fashion.
Well, we toured last year, you see, and thinking the album was going to come out. We actually went on tour twice. And we had the best time, and we were doing some classic Yes songs. We started off the show with Own of Lonely Heart, and then Yours Is No Disgrace, and then, you know, Come On, and the audiences loved it, and new songs. So we play good together. It's a good band. So we were thinking of going on the road in September. Well, obviously not. But now we have the record out, which is kind of cool, coming out next week, I think.
Yeah, the 31st. Yeah, the 31st, it's going to be released. So that's really exciting.
And what a wonderful album. Oh, my gosh. Yes. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've had it on a loop ever since we received it from your record company. We've had it playing downstairs while we're just having a cocktail, just thinking, this is really amazing. Yeah. It's really eclectic.
That's good. Yeah, it was, you know the story. I started it 30 years ago in Big Bear, which is the mountain area near Los Angeles, and with a friend of mine, Brian Chatton, who was in my first band, the Warriors, in the 60s. Wow. And he wrote some music, and I wrote these songs on it and lyrics and things. And we actually recorded about seven tracks. And I got Chris Squire and Alan White to play on 2 of them because they were in Los Angeles. That was 30 years ago. And then life happens, and I went this way, Brian went that way, and we never got back together. Brian's on tour with B.B. King and other people like that and stuff. And I was on tour with Kitaro and Yes and solo touring, and life happens. And the producer got in touch with me 2 years ago and said, have you got the tapes? And I said, which tapes? And
which would those be?
24-track big tapes that you have from the music you did in Big Bear. And I said, oh, yeah, they're in the garage. They've been there 26 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I sent them to him. He has a studio in Orlando, and what you do with these big tapes, you have to put them in an oven and you bake them.
Right.
And
I've heard of that process, which is crazy to me.
Because if you try to play them, they'll just fall apart. So you bake them, and they can only play once.
Oh my gosh.
You play them straight to the computer, and lo and behold, all the songs were good.
Wow, that's terrifying. So you essentially had one chance to get all of these downloaded onto the computer.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sort of a miracle. And happily, my voice sounds the same now still. So anything that I needed to mend a word or two in the song, I just sing and I go, oh, I sound the same as I did 30 years ago. As I said, most of the songs on the record are from that period, that time. But I spoke to Michael Franklin, the producer, and said that my dream was to ask musicians to play on it. Because we only three had played on it, keyboard player, bass, and drum machine. Michael Franklin, he got Jon Anderson to play on a track on Activate Me. And I said, well, that's a good start, you know.
Yeah.
I said, do you know Billy Cobham? Because I love Billy Cobham. He's one of the great rock and roll jazz drummers in the world.
Amazing.
My Vishnu Orchestra.
Mm.
And he said, yeah, I've got his phone number. And in came Billy, and he played on Come Up, which is 1,000 Hands Come Up. And then Michael Franklin said, can you get Jean-Luc Ponty? And I said, yeah, right. I just toured with him 3 years ago. So he played on it. And then he got Chick Corea to play on it. And what happens is that you have this song, which is kind of cool. So it's kind of a cool song, you know. But you put a drummer on, and it was really, really good. And the song goes like that. It just grows. And then Chick Corea. Before you know it, you're listening to it. And I can listen to that track anytime. Or most of the record, I just listen to it, and I'm in this sort of dream world.
It is. It has that vibe. And, you know, who better to play on those like Jean-Luc Ponty and Chick Corea with just their vibe? It matches perfect.
Yeah. And
great stuff.
You know, a lot of people that Zap Mama was a fantastic girl vocal group out of Belgium that I actually saw in 1991 when I first met Katara. Tower of Power play.
Oh, yeah. That's just
so many people.
Well, it's nice to know that all these great people that you collaborated with on this, that they have the level of respect for you and your music, that they would come and do that. And, you know, and then some of them end up on tour with you, which is just incredible.
It's quite a trip, believe me.
Yeah. So I know that the tour is kind of on hold right now based on everything that's going on in the world. But I know that, well, at least I heard, and tell me if this is true. Were you planning on documenting that or filming it?
Well, we actually did a film just in the first week of touring. And that's a kind of fun film, but we weren't really, we hadn't really got into the playing great, or maybe singing okay, you know. It takes about a week or two before you go, okay, now we
Sure.
Oh, I know what you mean now. Sorry, because we talked about my PR guy, Michael Jensen. Peace, man. He came up with this great idea. We should get together in New York at the Hammerstein Theater in New York. It's a beautiful place. And maybe invite as many people who played on the record, and we'll do a week of performances with people coming in and going out, coming in, going out around the band that we already have. And I thought that'd be so cool from an audience to be able to come in for 5 shows maybe and go through the experience of bringing in Chick Corea, Billy Cobham, Jean-Luc Ponty, all these people, and with the band as well. It'd be quite an exceptional series of concerts. So we were thinking about that for next spring, maybe.
You have such an unconventional approach to music and to live shows. I think I once heard you refer to it as stretching the imagination of music.
Well, we do. I think when I started, I was in a band, the usual band. You start off in 1962, and you're actually just performing songs that are in the charts, top 20, So me and my brother used to sing Everly Brothers songs when we were delivering milk, because we worked on the local farm. And so during that time, Buddy Holly, we sang Buddy Holly. My brother always wanted to be Elvis Presley, so he was older than me, so I let him be Elvis Presley. and I would sing other songs. And then the Beatles came out. They put out this record, Love Me Do. And me and my brother went to see them in 1960, April 63.
Wow.
And they hadn't become any major happening yet. But we went to see them play in a place which was just north of Liverpool, a place called Southport. And it was amazing to hear this band play. They were so good. They were just so damn good.
Oh my gosh. Did you have any idea then? I mean, what was it? Did you feel it maybe that they were going to become the Beatles?
Yeah, there was something in the air. The crowd at the end of every song got crazy. A girl screaming at the front of the stage.
Wow.
After the song. And then 6 months later, me and my brother went to see them again in a local town to where we live. We live in a small town, Accrington, north of Manchester. So 5 miles away, a place called Blackburn. And the Beatles came there, and we could hardly hear them because everybody screamed.
Well, you have a history even before, the formation of Yes, that you were touring with bands like The Who and The Faces. I mean, some incredible acts.
Actually, no, that was the first tour Yes ever did.
Oh, you did it with Yes then? Okay.
We opened up, and the next guy on the show was Arthur Brown, who had a song called Fire.
Mm-hmm.
He used to have a helmet that went on fire. And then Joel Cocker.
Oh,
wow.
Rod Stewart and The Faces, and then The Who. That was the show.
That's
lineup.
Incredible. You just don't get lineups like that anymore. That's just amazing.
It was truly magic. And in the Warriors, though, the first show that we did that was really big, it was an American show that came to our local town, and we sort of went there and played at the beginning before people were coming in. As people came in, we're playing She Loves You, whatever. And,
you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And but the top of the bill was Bill Haley and the Comets, then Little Richard, then Gene Vincent, and then this other guy, Eddie Cochran.
Eddie Cochran.
Oh, yes. Summertime Blues.
It was amazing. And, so later on, as you say, you get into the Yes world. And all of a sudden, I was in a band in London with Chris Squire. And it was such a fortunate event, because I really wanted to carry on singing. And, singers usually would do all the work and driving everybody around and setting up the PA and, getting in the drums and putting me in the van. That's what a singer's job is,
That doesn't seem quite fair.
No, but that's the way it worked.
Yeah, you should just carry your own instrument, a microphone. That's it.
Right.
That's true. That's very true.
That's too good. So you mentioned the late, great Chris Squire. And there was a quote out there that mentioned that.
I love this.
Yeah, go ahead, you tell it, because you were the one who told me earlier, and I thought it was the best.
I don't remember who said it, whether it was you or Chris, but the idea is that he was the Darth Vader to your Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's exactly it. We were the yin and yang of the band, and he liked to party. He liked to rock and roll party, and I was the opposite. I was reading my books and learning to listen to the Planet Suite and Sibelius and Stravinsky, and he was out there partying and being a rock and roll star. But one of the greatest bass players of all time.
Oof, wow, just a powerhouse.
Unbelievable. And, we were very, very close. We were very, very close, like brothers. You get together in a band and you become musical brothers. And there was never really any arguments within the band making music. That was all very sort of pressurized. Let's really try this, try that. Let's try this, let's try that. And Chris would always say, John, I just want to make you happy. What do you want to do now? I said, well, I've got this crazy idea to, close to the edge, jump into a 20-minute piece of music for some reason.
Yeah, and it's funny because and I know that everyone calls it prog rock or progressive rock. I just think it's rock and roll. I just think it's just a different spirited kind of rock that might have a little bit more depth to it.
Yeah, adventurous.
Yeah,
music is like that. It's a constant musical adventure in life. Life is ever changing. And, Yes kept going while disco came, and then punk rock came, and then something else came, and we kept going.
Yeah, it survived all of that. That's the amazing part, which is it's a testament to the writing, the songs, and just the chemistry of what you had.
I was very blessed to be surrounded by good musicians all the time. I could hardly play the guitar when I first started with Yes, but I quickly started practicing at home and trying to find a song. And a lot of the songs were very simple, but because of the musicianship of the band, it sort of opened it up to many different levels of projection of music. And we would go on stage, and when you go and see when you see bands like King Crimson, when they first started, we saw their first show in a club in London, me and Chris, and I'm standing next to Chris. He's like 6'3", and I was like 5'5.5" maybe. But, I still am, I think. And, now I'm shrinking. But I turned around to him halfway through their set, and I said, Chris, we got to rehearse better. We got to rehearse more. This is so cool. And they were quite brilliant. And the same thing happened with Mahavishnu Orchestra when we first saw them. So there's always somebody coming up and it just opens you up, and it makes you want to progress and become a better band, a better musician, and so on and so on. Ta-da!
Yeah. And did you find that? I mean, there's obviously many variations of members in the band. Yes. Did you have a period of the band that you're most fond of?
Oh, gosh, there's so many times now.
Right.
There was that moment when we did Fragile, the album Fragile, when we did the song Roundabout on the Yes album. There was something about Fragile and that period. You just sensed that we were bonding very well. We toured America. We'd actually been on tour with Jethro Tull, which was a great experience. Watching Jon Anderson performing and projecting to 10,000 people sort of blows your mind, And but then there was that period, Fragile, Close to the Edge, and it's as though, for me, I felt like we were tearing down walls of musicology for some reason. We were doing stuff that wasn't really. It was unique in a way, and people actually liked it. That's the best thing, because you do something that's a little bit different, and the audiences were sort of growing with us, and you could hear a pin drop when we played "And You and I" and "Close to the Edge." They're very long pieces of music. Everyone's listening.
That's pretty incredible.
Very time, because you thought, okay, you never dreamed that you're going to last more than 5 or 6 years as a band. You never dreamed that, because the Beatles lasted 6 years. I mean,
right? they kind of messed it up for everyone.
Right.
Well, yeah, because they started doing sort of lovely pop songs, love songs, and then within about 3 years, they're doing.
It's like psychedelic rock.
Sgt. Pepper. I mean,
and Sgt. Pepper, of course, but Abbey Road. These were incredible pieces of music, musically speaking. Big change in direction. So I think Yes went through a similar sort of thing, but not as popular as the Beatles or anything like that, but just very, gosh, we're surviving here. And that was the great feeling.
Well, and another testament to that is that, what was it, 2017, when you were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I mean, by Rush, by the way, which I thought was very cool.
Cool moments.
Lovely. Very special. I never shook as many hands in my life. Hey, John, congratulations. Oh, thank you.
Well, that win was a long time coming. I know there was a campaign to get you guys inducted into the Hall of Fame, and well earned.
Well, I'd been there. I actually performed there about 3 years earlier in Cleveland. I was working with the Cleveland Youth Orchestra, which I'd done a couple of times, and I really enjoyed working with young musicians. And so me and my wife Jane went to the Hall of Fame, and all my heroes are there. So I walk around just going, oh, look at this, check this out. Oh my God.
Wow. Now, in that same year, in 2017, right after the Hall of Fame, that's when, kind of a version of Yes with Trevor and Rick was kind of formed together. Was that a direct result of the popularity because of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or what was the kind of impetus to kind of rekindle that?
Well, it's a long story in a way, because when I first met Trevor Rabin, it was right at the beginning of 90125. They were the band. They'd all recorded all these great tracks, and they just felt they needed a singer. And I was in the south of France doing symphonic music. It's a crazy idea. I was writing a musical about the great Marc Chagall, the Russian painter who I met. He was 90 years old. And I just fell in love with this guy. It was so amazing what he was doing at 90 years old. It made me want to be 90. Eventually, I'll be doing some great work, I believe, in my heart. So I went to London for a break, and there Chris called me up and said, you got to listen to this music. So I listened to it. I just fell in love with the whole idea of this music. And Chris said, look, it needs some help vocally here and some lyrics here and a verse here for Owner of a Lonely Heart. It needs to be changed. And I said, yeah, I get it. So you want me to join the band? And they said, yeah. I said, well, if I join the band, it'll be called Yes, of course. And they said, yeah, well, that's what we want. So I went in the studio and met Trevor for the first time. And we actually wrote the first parts of the first verse of Owner. The chorus was already there anyway. And it was as though I was with this guy who was another tall guy, 6'3", very tall.
You surround yourself with tall people.
I know. And so I just loved the idea of the record, Owner of a Lonely Heart. It's going to be a hit record. And we went on tour, and I saw Spinal Tap just before we went on tour. So I had this crazy notion that we were Spinal Tap, hitting the charts all over the world. So for 10 years we toured, or 8 years. And then we lost contact because I wanted to do more Yes style music. So I got together with Steve, Bill, and Rick, and we did an album called ABWH, which was a very clear understanding of music for me. So much better than chasing another hit record for me. And so over the years, I followed Trevor's work. He did some ridiculously good film scores over the last 20 years or so. So I was always in contact with him, and I just asked him, why don't we go on the road together, get Rick, and we could just do some, I wanted to do some music and do sort of like a film score, in rock and roll film score sort of thing. But it didn't quite work out that way, because you get together with Rick and he wants to do this, and then Trevor wants to do that, and I said, well, okay, we'll do that. We did Awaken, which was a great piece of music from Yes.
Yeah.
So I felt that we represented Yes as a trio. We had some good musicians with us, but we projected pretty well the idea of what we think Yes is. It's a combination of quite a few things, actually.
Yeah, you have done so many collaborations in your career. I mean, not just with the folks in and out of Yes,
Sure.
but looking at all of the collaborations of the people that you've had on your many solo albums, the albums that you perform on. It seems like you're always creating, always.
Always, can't stop. Well, one of my favorite guys was Vangelis. Now, Vangelis became very famous and got an Oscar for da 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 da.
Oh yeah.
You remember that one?
Uh-huh.
But I met him after we were touring in the middle of the 70s, and Rick was having great success with his solo work. So he decided to go off and do that. I thought we need a keyboard player, and I found Vangelis in Paris, and I just met this guy who could actually. He had about 6 keyboards around him, and he would compose a symphony every day. He was just ridiculous. Ridiculous. And so he became my mentor, actually, and I learned so much from him. And we made 4 albums together, and they were always wonderful to make because with Yes, it was a lot of work. In the studio for hours working on pieces of music, and the following day some more of the same idea of the song. And 3 days later, you've got the song pretty well organized. With Vangelis, we'd do 3 or 4 songs every afternoon after we'd been to lunch.
Wow.
That's prolific.
Yeah, it was like, okay, let's make an album. Okay. And so many funny stories, but I won't get into them.
You've mentioned meditation. How much influence does that have on your creative process?
Well, I'm so blessed in my life because there's a certain point of touring where you're going crazy. So you have a choice. You can go partying every night and go crazy. And it happens to a lot of musicians. It's just the way life is at times. And I wasn't into that because, I had a young family. So I just stuck to my reading and listening to music a lot. I go out now and again. I'm not silly.
You're not a priest, right? Yeah.
But as time went along, I started reading about, I read Hermann Hesse, who was a great writer. He wrote Journey to the East and Siddhartha. Mm-hmm. And then I remembered, I got a book when I first started. Yes, it was a little book by a little old lady of North London called Vera Stanley Alder. And it's called The Finding of the Third Eye. So I read this book. It's a very spiritual book, beautifully written, that we are all Christ consciousness. We've all got Christ consciousness within. And the only reason we live is to find the divine and connect with this amazing divine energy that surrounds us, all of us. Nobody is exempt. But most of us spend a lot of time doing other things. I just got into the idea of trying to meditate. It took me 15 years to actually meditate. But it's a question of slowing the self down and breathing deeply and relaxing for half an hour a day. That's all. Maybe twice a day or something like that. It's just a way of centering yourself and going quiet, and the ego mind who keeps saying, well, what are you going to have for dinner afterwards? How about you today? Why don't you do that music tomorrow? The ego mind is like crazy.
Very chattering.
Yeah. And so there was a certain point in my life where I was in LA. I was making a record. I was actually making a Christmas record of all things.
Really?
And this lady friend I'd met called Linda Livingston, she said to me, John, there's a lady coming from Honolulu. She's called Divine Mother Flora. She's coming to some friends who live near the airport. Would you mind coming? I said, no, it's okay. It's all right. I'm playing, I'm doing stuff. And I've met 1 or 2 gurus along the way. Sri Chinmoy, the guru to the United Nations. I played tennis with him. It's kind of funky. But didn't want to meet anybody. Honestly, I said, I'm okay. But she kept pestering me, Linda, God bless her. And then she said, look, she's coming tomorrow. It's been a month now. She's coming tomorrow. You got to meet her. And then I'll take you to Disneyland. I said,
Fair enough.
Okay. And so I went into this little house near the airport and left my shoes outside and walked in. And there's a little lady sitting on a couch, and she's a little old lady, white hair and flowers everywhere around her. And she reminded me of my mother. And I went up and sat in front of her. And she just said, okay. So first thing, God is free. And I said, yes, I like that. And you've been trying to meditate. I can see you're very ripe. And I said, thank you. So let's meditate. And so I relaxed, and she just told me what to say. And it was like a mantra, you know. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying it in my head, really. And then we zoomed off together somewhere. I think we went to heaven and back. We went somewhere that was just so peaceful and so real and so right. And I stopped breathing. I remember because I was breathing slowly and I could sense I wasn't breathing anymore. I was in this sort of space, and then came back 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, came back to my body. And she looked at me and said, now, practice every day your meditation, and you can get yourself there. It'll take time, but practice. That's all you have to do. And I was so, thank you, Divine Mother, thank you. And that was it. And it was remarkable in so many ways, because from that moment, I was in touch with my inner, the third eye, the pineal gland, that connection.
Yeah, totally. Now,
1987. So.
That was 87?
Yeah. So I'm still learning, because it just doesn't happen like that.
Of course. Oh no, it's a lifelong practice.
Because everything is a growing experience. And Linda Livingston, God bless her, she introduced me to my wife, which was fantastic.
I love. I know your wife Jane influenced a few of the songs on the new album. It sounds like you have such a wonderful relationship with her.
Very blessed. Again, very blessed, because I kept seeing her in my meditation.
Did you really?
Yeah, over a period of about four months. I've been traveling to Brazil and somewhere else, and I meditate. And sometimes I get a real nice deep meditation. Once every 5 or 6 times, you got a real deep meditation. Then you see the space jumping up in front, waving. Yeah.
Wow. So it must have been miraculous when you first met her and recognized that.
Yeah, because she worked for, at that time, Ron Howard, the Imagine movies,
Yeah.
She did the music. She'd arranged the music for the movies. She was the coordinator to get the musicians to perform on the records, on the movie. Mm-hmm. And so Linda said, because Linda worked for BMI, so we're all connected musically speaking. She had lunch with Jane, and she called me and said, we're going to come up for lunch. And I said, yeah, tomorrow, right? Yeah, great. What do I know? This girl, lady from Imagine movies. Gosh. Anyway, so I was making an album in my house in Hollywood there, and I had my studio in the lounge, a big grand piano in the lounge. I had music instruments everywhere. A couple of my kids were with me, and some friends, musicians and things. And then in walks Linda Livingston with this girl, Jane Luttenberger. And I know it's her. She walks in, I went, it's her.
Wow, that's incredible.
So, and I can say it very quickly, but I was shaking her hand saying, hi, how are you? I love you. We're going to get married. It's going to be amazing. How are you? That was it. That was all in my head.
Oh my gosh.
It's a good thing you used the inside words and didn't let that flow out. That might have scared her a little off, right?
Shy. And then eventually, of course, we fell in love, and still in love 27 years later. It's amazing.
That's amazing. And it's amazing that after 27 years that she, is an influence on a lot of the songs you put on the last album. That says a lot.
Yeah, I think that's, we write together ideas. We've got a children's story we've written now. But I was working on the music just 3 weeks ago when I realized I'd got on with something that I wanted to get organized, which will take another year to finish. And then I thought, okay, I'll do some songs for this little story we have. So a lot of things come out because of that relationship, and I just adore her. She's amazing.
That's great. Yeah. Well, and speaking of saving your life, I remember it was, I think around 10 years ago, maybe a little over 10 years ago, that you suffered a pretty severe asthma attack.
Sure. I stopped breathing, and it was in the house here, and it was total chaos when you realize you're going to lose consciousness, And Jane came running over, and she grabbed me, and then got the phone, and then I was gone. And I don't remember much what happened other than that they put me in a coma for 4 days.
Wow.
Oh, scary.
I don't know.
Yeah. Was that event, something that happens that, that big in your life, was that any sort of reflection point for you? And did anything in your life change after that?
Everything.
Yeah.
Because you go through that experience, and there's a sense of, okay, well, I'm still alive, and why are these pipes everywhere and everything? And you can sense, and she organized my kids to come and see me,
Yeah.
And I just couldn't stop laughing and crying at the same time, because you're out of something that you don't understand, because it's not something you go through all the time, and so the living experience later was to go through a few more operations, and the interesting thing was one thing happened that sort of blew my mind in a way. I have a really great friend called Jonathan Elias, and we've known each other for years and years. And he's a composer. He does a lot of advertising, music, and things. And he also does these beautiful albums. And I'd sang on a couple of them. And I'd come out. I went to Stanford Hospital every month to have operation for 5 months. And then I'd come back home high on drugs. So, legal drugs,
Right, legal, of course.
And he sent me a piece of music, and I wrote this, and it starts off with Rahat Ali Khan, the cousin to Nusrat Ali Khan, the great spiritual Pakistani singer. And so the music starts, and this guy starts singing, and I was listening to it, and I'm in my studio listening to it, and I thought, I'm going to sing. Okay, just 1 second. 1 second.
Okay. No problem.
I think it's my wife. Hello. Yeah, I'm still on the thingy. Oh, sure. I sure will. Bye-bye.
Picking up groceries later?
No, I got to put the clothes in the dryer.
No matter how big of a rock star you are, someone's always got to put the clothes in the dryer.
Right.
The washing machine's over in the back there. And, so this music, Jonathan sent me just out of the blue, and I just sang something, and I sang it, and my voice was there, and I hadn't really sung anything until that moment for 3 months maybe, and I just sang this sort of what I felt was like an aria of peace and love and energy. I don't know, something about that song and it's called Born Again. I called it Born Again. And a good friend of mine, Mick Byrne, who does my videos, he did a beautiful video of Born Again, and it's just it's on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, well, check that out. Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
But me singing, it was like I was giving this gift to my
absolutely
best
beautiful.
friend, and to be able to sing again, and I just sang it. It was just
that's amazing.
you go through these experiences, and we all go through them. It's part of life experience. That it makes you stronger, makes you more grateful for who you are, what you're doing, thankful, and you want to really do some great music. Because I've been saying it for the last year or so. You know, the great music is coming, and then I found Jacob Collier.
Yeah.
It comes together.
Jacob Collier. Have you heard him?
Not familiar with him. I got to look him up.
Please, he'll change your life, just like the Beatles.
Wow.
He is the next. He is already happening. He's 26 now, I think.
Oh, got to check him out.
London. His mom was a music teacher. This guy is a piece of music on YouTube called "In the Real Early Morning," and he's singing with a full orchestra. He did all the orchestration.
Wow.
He's singing at the piano, a little electric bell-like piano. He's beautiful.
Oh, we're definitely going to look into him.
We
See
need
about
to.
that.
The comments are great. There was one comment that said, "Welcome back, Mozart."
Oh,
Wow.
That's some high praise.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is this guy who's obviously musically so open. He's a great fan of Stevie Wonder, and he's done some quite incredible work already in the last 3 years. And I just found it a year ago, and I just went, "Oh, thank you," because the great music is coming, and there's a lot of great young musicians out there ready to jump into the world through the internet, through YouTube and etc. And it inspires me to do great music, because there's no point in saying, okay, guy, I'm going to do an album. Maybe I'm going to do an album in the next month. It's not going to be that good.
But you mentioned being inspired, and I think now might be a good time to mention.
Yes, this is a perfect actually entry into that. So we have a super fan of yours that wanted to come in and ask a question, but he's not only just a super fan. He used to be many years ago back in a Yes tribute band, but now happens to be the lead singer for the band Kansas.
Cool. Good.
Yes.
Good.
So that is Ronnie Platt. I'm having him on to ask you a question.
Hey, Ronnie.
Mr. Anderson, what a pleasure and honor it is to speak with you. After all these years, I've been emulating you almost my entire life.
Sorry.
I attribute the development of my voice, of listening to you and studying you. You've been an incredible inspiration to me, and nothing but love to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it very much. And all I could hear was a season which could call you from the depths of your disgrace.
Right.
To liver to the solid mental grace. And where did all that come from?
I've been trying to figure that out for decades.
Me too.
But really an honor to speak with you. And really what I want to know is, what are you painting at the moment?
Oh, boy. I just went to see it, and all the ideas, and I'm actually doing 3D paintings where I'm painting all these energies in this forest, and then I've got twigs coming out, real twigs that I found outside. I'm using super glue to stick them together on the thing, and it looked great. And
fantastic.
Somebody asked me the other day, "Have you got it? What's it like?" And I said, "I'll show you." And I brought it out, and all the twigs fell off.
Well, I wanted to tell you that I'm into painting too, and I happen to be painting my mother's living room in a nice antique white.
Yeah, I like that one. That's good.
Is now the time? Jon, it's so funny. A very good friend of mine who I love dearly passed away just a short time ago. But every time I called him on the phone, I would always say, "JP, it's Jon, and this is a very magical thing. I want to say that I just love your guitar playing. It's very magical." And he loved it. He cracked up every time I did my Jon Anderson voice.
Well, I know that what was his name?
Jim Henry, and he was the guitar player in my band Drama, and we played all Yes music.
Wow. Well, I'm sure he's able to just enjoy what we're talking about, because I think there's a connection. We don't know much about it, but I'm sure it happens that people can connect with their loved ones. You never lose your loved ones.
Always in your mind.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And Jon, you've been just so gracious with your time, and loved you sharing all the stories. And we're super excited about your 1,000 Hands album that's coming out here on July 31st. And everyone, please remember that on August 2nd, and I think it's 3 p.m. Eastern, if I recall, Jon?
Yeah, I got all the times written down.
Yes, go to Jon's Facebook page. It's the Jon Anderson. So on Facebook, you go out there, all of it's out there. He's going to do a special, not just a live event with the new music, but he's also going to be doing storytelling and all kinds of other great things. So you got to check it out.
Yeah.
So thank you so much again, Jon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Yes. And thank you, Ronnie, for coming up too.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Love you guys. Miss you guys. Hope you do well. Jon, thank you for your lifetime of music.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it very much. Really do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye now, folks.
Take
Bye,
care.
Ron.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jon.
Thank you.
Go to theunwritablерant.com and sign up to get early access to interviews and new videos. And don't forget to connect with Juliette on Twitter at Morning Neurosis.
Girl, you was pretty as a Sunday morning, standing on the corner at Carondelet. What you say we make our way up to Bourbon, couple hurricanes and a hand grenade, and get blown away. Let the chips fall where they may. If it's all the same, what you say, bon ton, hey, pretty mama, I can smell the gumbo. Sweetest taste of honeysuckle on my lips. Good God Almighty, I can hear the trombone. Every heart ought to beat to a rhythm like this. Come a little closer, honey, let me hold you. Nothing tastes better than a bourbon kiss. You can be the flower on my magnolia. Every heart ought to beat to a rhythm like this.